Welcome. Welcome to the Project Bring Me Life podcast, talking about the spiritual awakening, metaphysics, and holistic health with artists, musicians, guides, writers, healers, and supporters. So please join us. Wake up and shine on.
So welcome to today's podcast. Today we're interviewing Desiree Bullard, who is our specialist on recycling. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why recycling is important to you?
Well, I live here in Cumberland, and I just started Vital Eco Solutions, which is a business where I offer expanded recycling for items not just those that are conventionally or typically recycled at local facilities, like your plastics, newspaper, paper, magazines, and such. But I can accept items, all sorts of items, beauty and health, hair care products, a lot of which are not recyclable at traditional facilities. And I collect those items, and then I ship those once I've collected enough in bulk to send to facilities where they can be recycled. And I also offer green living and business consulting for individuals and businesses who want to live a more environmentally friendly life.
So important in this day and age too.
It really is, especially considering the fact that climate change is escalating, consumerism is out of control and causing environmental damage all over the world that is basically unseen to our eyes, but it's there and it's happening on a grand scale every single day.
It's totally true, and I'm really excited that you're doing that in my hometown of Cumberland, because for the longest time we didn't really have much of a recycling ethic or anything like that. Like going to Michigan, they have a machine at their Myers, which is pretty much like their version of Walmart, and they can just put a bottle in and they get money back for it, and we weren't even acknowledging. Yeah, I was like, I can take my soda bottle and get money back for this? Okay. But in Cumberland, we weren't acknowledging that we needed to recycle or anything, and I was just seeing bags and bags of trash being thrown away that could have been reused. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about what happens to things when they're not recycled.
When things aren't recycled and they're just thrown in the trash, they'll end up in landfills where they will sit for probably, could be millennia if it depending on what happens in the product.
Future. Yeah.
But in many cases they also end up on the streets. In fact, I walk my dogs up and down the street every single day, and I have gotten into the habit of carrying a bag with me to pick up any recyclables that I come across, because so much of it ends up in the street. And a lot of people, I hate to say it, are really irresponsible when it comes to their waste, and they just throw things on the ground. They just throw them out the window in their cars, or it happens all of the time. So if things are not recycled and repurposed or reused in some fashion, then they will eventually cause some degree of environmental damage. And in many cases, animals are impacted. Everybody has seen the image of an animal getting its head stuck in those the plastic containers that hold a 6-pack of cans, things like that, or bottles, that they get their head stuck in. And I've seen a lot of that.
Those are like the most depressing pictures on Facebook, is when there's like animals being hurt from trash. I mean, animals hurt in general, but by trash is even more sad because it's our fault. Mm-hmm. Leaving that man-made waste just like everywhere.
Absolutely, it's incredibly irresponsible. And I mean, a lot of people just don't think about it. It's just part of their daily routine. They throw things out in the trash can. They don't think, hey, maybe this is recyclable, maybe there's something else I can do with this. Something that is going to mitigate the environmental damage that would otherwise exist if we didn't recycle.
That's totally true. So that's awesome that you're able to get that trash, so to speak, off of the streets and where it belongs. Can you tell us a little bit about what recycling actually is and the process of what happens?
Sure. Recycling is the process of using items that have already been used for their purpose to make something new, essentially. So that essentially eliminates the need to create virgin materials, and where a lot of damage is done in the process of extraction. Because even for, say, one glass jar, a life cycle analysis or assessment will show that there are almost 2,000 different processes that go into creating this one bottle, or one glass bottle. Many of which, require the extraction and the transportation and the manufacture and putting all of these materials together to create this one jar or bottle or whatever it is. And people just don't think about that, about that far-ranging impact of the everyday items that we use. So when we recycle and we take those items or we send those to facilities that are going to reuse those, then we are completely bypassing the need to create virgin materials and extract things from the natural world that should probably stay exactly where they are.
Mm.
And all that material, like you said, it's being reused to make these other bottles and these other things. And it goes through like a pretty extensive process before it's reused. I know I've had a lot of interesting arguments, I probably would call them, where people are just insisting like, why would I want to use a bottle that's already been used? And like silly things like that. And they're like, I don't need to recycle. And it's like, it's a really ridiculous argument.
Yeah, that is pretty absurd. And that I would probably attribute to maybe laziness, in my opinion at least, because recycling is absolutely beneficial for like I said, we don't have to extract new materials from the earth. We don't have to take anything else when we're recycling a bottle or a glass jar. That material is already there, and we don't have to take anything new, and it can become a brand new jar. And in the process of recycling is going to get rid of any germs or dirtiness or anything that somebody might be concerned about in terms of using a bottle that's recycled for those reasons.
Yeah. And well, the dinosaurs, everybody knows, or there's speculation that a meteor came and sort of wiped out the dinosaurs. Do you think the possibility exists where the new tool for extinction will be trash?
Wow, that's an interesting thought. It could most definitely, absolutely. Because even though we see a lot, we see a lot of, of litter and a lot of, irresponsible waste management in this country. And in countries all over the world, it's a whole other ballgame. There are countries that are drowning in landfills and trash and mounds of electronic waste is a huge problem. So yeah, that's an very interesting thought, and I think that the possibility is very distinct.
Yeah, just extinction through trash. That's very
essentially killing ourselves from the
Yeah.
inside out. But it's
Speaking of electronic waste, what do people do with the old electronics if they don't want them sitting around? Is there anything we can do with them right now?
absolutely. Many cases, people just throw them in the trash, which is a huge, huge, huge problem. But there are, say, our Allegheny County's local recycling facility will occasionally do an electronic waste events where I think it's probably once every 6 months or so. I wish they did them more frequently. But they'll take anything that is electronic, anything that you can plug in. And sometimes Frostburg State University will also offer e-waste events where you don't, you can just drop them off. They take them. And these are free of charge. There are other local facilities, like I believe Penmar Recycling will take them, but there's a charge for each, particularly for larger items like televisions and such.
Yeah, I was wondering what we should do with those kind of items, because I have a couple of printers and like old cameras and stuff that they don't necessarily work, so I can't sell them. You can't give them to people. And I don't want to throw them away. So that's good that there's places that have those pickups. And I urge anyone that's watching that wants to know if their community is looking or having one of those events, just kind of check your community calendar and stuff like that. I think my bank might even do one, which is interesting.
Is there any websites that will show, like, in your local area if there's anything going on?
Well, you could look at the Allegheny County Waste Management website, or they have some information. But I will also be sharing that on my I have Vital Eco Solutions Facebook page. So anytime there's an electronic waste event, I will most definitely be sharing that on Facebook. and encouraging all my friends and those within my social networking community to get that information out there. And in some cases, I may be able to help as well through Vital Eco Solutions. There are programs that in some cases will actually pick up these items, and I can help coordinate things like that. And the smaller items, the smaller e-waste items, those are things that I can accept as part of what I will take from people and ensure that they get to facilities where they can be recycled.
Does that include batteries?
Batteries are a little different. Batteries are considered hazardous waste, as are, oddly enough, many of our typical household cleaners that people would not consider are hazardous. They're hazardous. So that would be a separate event that, say, the Allegheny County facility would have. Occasionally they'll have hazardous waste events where people can come in and bring all of those sorts of things. That includes light bulbs. And then there are, technically I could take those as well. There are facilities where they can be shipped, but I have to, that's not something I've done yet through my business, and I want to make sure that I could do that in a safe manner, shipping something like batteries that's hazardous like that, before I would actually do that. But I would, of course, do that research and make sure I could do that safely.
Awesome. So let's get into detail. What is Vital Eco Solutions, and what is your business and your part in this?
Well, I am the sole proprietor, the only employee of Vital Eco Solutions. I have been in operation now for about 2 months. And again, so far, what I've seen is the public has the most interest in terms of what I have to offer is the expanded recycling. Taking the items for women too, or the discarded makeup containers, mascara, blush, eyeshadow, all of that stuff. Regular facilities do not take that kind of thing. I can take those items and I can ship those to a place that will recycle them. Yeah, and one of the companies where I'll ship these is called TerraCycle, and they take all kinds of things. And in many cases, they're not just using these items to make new makeup cases, but they use them to make cool things like park benches or trash cans and things like that. So the expanded recycling so far has been the most successful. But again, I offer green living and business consulting, which really centers on consumerism, because consumerism is a huge problem, and it causes worldwide causes an incredible amount of damage. I mean, people go out and they buy all kinds of things that they don't necessarily need, and in the process, the process of creating these and the process of use, and then once they're discarded, they have a whole range of environmental impacts. So what my green consulting really centers around is helping people change their daily and consumer habits so that they're more environmentally friendly. It's all about education, because a lot of people I find have no idea that all of these impacts are being incurred when they're just doing things that are part of their daily routine that are seemingly harmless.
Is there a number one tip that you would give somebody when they're going out to buy something at the market?
Oh gosh, that's kind of hard to pick one. I guess if the first thing that pops into my head is to look at the recycling potential of the item that you're buying. Because particularly, see, now around here, since we have Bergmeyer's that does the curbside recycling within the city limits of Cumberland, they'll accept, the number 1, number 2, number 4, 5, and 7 plastics. Now the 4, 5, and 7 plastics is a really big deal, because our local facilities haven't been able to accept those. And many local facilities in smaller areas like this cannot take those items and recycle them. They stick with the 1s and the 2s and the paper and the newspaper and the magazines. So now around here, I would look on the bottom of the bottle that you're buying and see if it's a 1 or a 2 or a 3. If it's a 3, don't buy it. If it's a 6, don't buy it. But if it's a 1, 2, 4, 6, or 4 or 7, 1, 2, 4, 5, or 7, those are recyclable locally. And of course, glass is pretty much all glass is recyclable around here.
And it sort of looks like a triangle almost, with arrows in it and a number in the middle of it. Okay, so anybody
Picture of that.
Yeah.
Picture.
Yep. Got the recycle symbol.
Cool.
Yeah, and the number will just be right in the center of it. Sometimes it might look a little bit differently than it does on other items, but
Awesome.
it's easy to identify.
I know the other day he was asking me, like, what do we do with these things like cereal bags that don't
Yeah.
have numbers? Like,
Cereal bags.
Like, it's so depressing. Like, some things just don't have numbers and you don't know what to do with them.
In many cases, items that don't have numbers, particularly your harder plastics, if they don't have a number, as I understand it, they are not recyclable, which is really unfortunate. Because I find a lot of items, particularly with really cheaply made items, that you'll find, cheap plastic toys that come in, plastic containers. Many cases that closed plastic containers are not recyclable. They have no number.
Yeah. You're just gonna have a big bag of cereal bags.
Can at least condense them, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, cereal bags, I think they might be able, some places, like say at Martin's where they have those, those where you can put the plastic bags. Sometimes those places will accept all manner of that kind of plastic material. And that might be something. Yeah, that might be something that could be recyclable there. And I could find that out.
Cool.
That's awesome. So you've got this business, you're putting it together, you're helping other people recycle. What's your drive behind that? Is there a spiritual connection? Is there a personal connection? What's driving you to do that other than to save your community in general?
It's very personal, very spiritual for me. My in terms of spirituality, the only thing that's ever really connected or resonated with me is the natural world. And I have recognized over the last many years of my life, as I've been in the process of changing my own habits and learning what I can do to mitigate negative environmental impacts, that the damages are so far-reaching, and that we live extravagantly, and we don't. It's not necessary. Now we can live very simply and be very happy. We don't need all of these material items, but between media and just society in general, the image of having to, of having things and translating into, certain levels of status in this country is completely bogus. And so I have really come to the realization that I need to live as simply as I absolutely possibly can, and I need to teach others to do that. And that is the main driver behind my business. I mean, of course, I want to make a living. I want to be able to support myself doing this. But the main driver is my passion for the natural world and my desire to really help curb the impacts that are currently taking place. And climate change, for instance, is huge. And I mean, climate change could end up wiping us all out because we've been irresponsible in terms of how the energy we use and the things that we buy. And so that's my main driver. And for me, it's my spirituality resides entirely with the natural world.
Do you know of any technologies that are coming out that will be beneficial?
Well, nothing comes to mind offhand. But in many cases, technology is kind of a difficult thing when it comes to the environment, because in many cases technology causes a lot of damage, but then there are other circumstances where it really helps. Like, say for instance, without the internet, I would have no idea that there are all these facilities to which I could send items to be recycled, and and help people prevent putting them in landfills. So that's just one example. I can't think of anything up and coming that's going to make a huge difference, at least specifically with regards to recycling. I know there are, I was just reading yesterday about a plane that I think it flew a great distance, powered entirely by the sun, which is incredible.
Yeah,
and that's using technology kind of in concert with the natural world. And those kinds of things are incredibly positive, and offer a lot of hope and for the future in terms of the natural world.
I definitely agree. There's this article in a magazine about how architectures Is that the right word?
With building things.
People who are going to school for architecture are looking at the natural world to inspire what they're creating in buildings and different tools and whatnot.
Oh yeah, and there's also the LEED, which is, I can't think of what LEED stands for at this particular moment, but that's all about green building and building responsibly, and buildings can get LEED certified at certain levels if they are reaching certain standards set forth by the LEED certification, in terms of wise energy use, wise water use, waste management, the actual materials that are used to physically create the structure. So that's a really positive thing, and then people are starting to react to that kind of thing. So maybe I'm going to go use this facility because it's LEED certified as opposed to this one that isn't. And that's kind of a very generic example, but people are starting to think like that, and it's part of I think what is a global paradigm shift towards just generally more responsible thinking in terms of what we're using and how we're living our lives.
So we're moving in the right direction.
I think so. I hope so. I mean, I see a lot of hope out there, and I see a lot of really positive changes being made, and a lot of really important people speaking out, like Pope Francis. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I did read the Pope's recent encyclical on Care for Our Common Home, and his focus is entirely on caring for the environment and the poor people that have to live with the consequences of our irresponsible behavior. Which is really encouraging, because the Pope's got influence. People listen to the Pope. Whether you're a Catholic or not, he's an important figure as far as a lot of people are concerned.
Yeah, you hear it, like the Queen and the President, and it's like got that status figure.
Exactly.
Well, that topic kind of leads us into one of our last questions. What are some other things that individuals can do to really help their environment, or just anything like that?
Well, a lot of things I've already mentioned. Some of the simplest things are, just being a little more careful about what you're buying. Look at the ingredients in that bottle of shampoo that you're buying, and if there's something that you're not familiar with, well, maybe purchase something else, because in many cases there are unnecessary chemicals in things like lotions and shampoos that, in the process of being produced, cause a lot of damage, and they're fillers that the industries use for various reasons. Walk more, avoid driving as much as possible. I do it. I mean, I still have to drive sometimes, and as opposed to getting mad at myself for that, I just, I can't really help the circumstances in the world that I live in. We have to be easy on ourselves and make changes as we can, but, just make that extra effort to, instead of driving to the store, walk. It's also healthy. It's also healthy for you. It's good for your body to get more physical activity and exercise. See what else? Grow your own food. Compost. Let's see. A big thing. I mean, one of the things that always, like I've already mentioned, is the consumerism. Just curbing your habits. Buy fewer cleaning products. You really don't need them all. You don't need one product for your floor and your counter and your, this and that. You probably just need one, and it could be as simple as a mixture of water and vinegar.
And essential oils are awesome.
Yes.
Vinegar, essential oil, baking soda. You're good.
Yes, these things. You don't need all these other cleaners that are really, really bad for the environment.
You can recycle your baking soda box, so you're good.
Yes. That's a good example.
Yeah, I learned that trick the other day. It was pretty awesome.
Vinegar is amazing. Yeah. It is a super cleaning agent. It really is. I mean, it has got a pungent smell, and that could be difficult to get used to, but you could put some essential oils in your mix and kind of balance that smell out, and then you can use that for everything. And then you're not only engaging in a habit that's better for you and the environment, because a lot of the toxic fumes that come off of these cleaners are really bad for our bodies, but you're also saving yourself money, which is anybody can appreciate these days.
Yeah, I learned a good trick with baking soda and white vinegar to unclog drains the other day, and I was like, this is genius. You don't have like the drainer that's really chemicals and stuff like that. Now, sometimes it doesn't get like really, really strong clogs, but then you can just find other ways without the chemicals.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. Anytime you're going to buy something that, if it's got that harsh smell, those are probably VOCs, volatile organic compounds coming off of that, and they're not good. They're bad for us. They're bad for the atmosphere. And so many people are using them every single day. And when we think about that cumulative impact or that cumulative effect, it's really disheartening. In fact, I read our indoor air tends to be a lot more polluted than outdoor air, which I found very interesting because of all the products that we use within our homes.
Wow. Maybe not China. Sorry.
That's probably true. China's a whole other ballgame.
Do you have any more questions?
No, I just wanted to say that when you're talking about people are, getting out and saying things and doing things, you're definitely one of the people leading the way in the right direction for treating our environment and our Mother Earth properly. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate it very much.
Thank you. I do want to add how people can get in touch with me if they're interested in my services. Again, I can do monthly pickups or just a one-time pickup for recycling, or I charge an hourly fee to do the green living or business consulting. But you can reach me by phone, and that number is 240-522-8413. Or through the Vital Eco Solutions email address, which is Vital Eco Solutions, all spelled out, and then 15, the numerical 15 at gmail.com. So Vital Eco Solutions 15 at gmail.com. And then there's also, I have Vital Eco Solutions on Facebook. You could always message me there.
That's awesome, and she's super easy to get along with and super awesome.
Thanks.
Yep. It's been a lot of fun. Anything else at all that you would like to add or say to the recycling and awakened community?
Just try to be more responsible, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. It can be very overwhelming to incorporate these habits into your life. But do a little research or call me. I'll be happy to help. Just try to be a little more responsible with all of your your daily habits. You might not necessarily understand that they are there's a whole wealth of damage that is being, not wealth of damage, but there's a lot of damage being incurred by the simplest habits.
Meditation has been proven over and over with studies from well-established schools like Harvard University to grow gray matter in the part of the brain associated with memory, learning, empathy, reduced stress, and countless others. Join Suleiman with his first official meditation CD, including 4 studio-quality recordings, including all original music. Become mindful of your world with mindfulness. Learn about healing major energy centers of the body with chakra cleanse. Begin to forgive the past and move forward in life with forgiveness. Connect with your soul and ignite your heart with the true you. To get this meditation CD, all you have to do is go to projectbringmelife.com and click on the merch page next to the home tab.
Hi guys, I'm Shantastic Shine here with this week's card reading. I'm using my Earth Magic deck that I just got and I'm super excited to use. I'm going to go ahead and did a 3-card pull for you. So the first card that we have is actually the desert. And the desert card represents a vision quest, and it's basically saying that it's time for everybody to take some time for themselves and really be with nature, or be in the woods, or be in the desert, and just take some time for yourself and really imagine what it is you're trying to do with the next chapter of your life. So the desert card has showed itself for you to take a vision quest. And the next card is the fog, which is really interesting because you don't necessarily see fog in the desert, but there is this sense of haze and hallucination and visions, and they go kind of well together, minus the fact that fog is made with humidity and water. But in general, what it's saying is you're having a veiled vision right now, and it seems blurry what is coming through, and you're not exactly sure what to go with the next step. So know that the fog is going to be lifted, and the final card says that it's going to be lifted through music, and it's really just got these two angels, and they're majestically playing these instruments, and it's saying that harmony is on the way. So really just stay focused on yourself for a little while longer, and make sure that you go on this vision quest and take some time to listen to the birds and the bugs and all of the things out in nature making lots of noise. And I'm sure that the veil will be lifted and it will be music to your ears. So thanks for listening to this week's card reading. I hope it has helped you in some way. Stay awake and shine on always.
Hello, and welcome to another 2-minute meditation. For this 2-minute meditation, we are going to receive. So sit back, relax, and close your eyes. This time is very important to receive energy, especially with the wave of love coming. The wave is also called Wave X by some people. So close your eyes and just listen to the music, and you will receive the energy that you need to go through this wave at an easy, smooth pace. Begin to wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers. It's time to come back. Thank you all for taking part in this 2-minute meditation. Find more at csclawson.wordpress.com. Thanks, and have a great week.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Project Bring Me to Life. I hope this episode inspired you in some way. After the show, take a moment and share us on your favorite social media, be it Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Thanks in advance. Stay awake and shine on always. Did you have any questions? No? Did it go off?
Yeah. What? Okay. We have this.
Are you gonna read? That's fine. Okay.
Nothing I can do about it.
It's really hard for me to see my little roof. Okay. So real quick, how do I pronounce your last name? Bullard. Bullard. Anything? Okay. Yes. So welcome to today's podcast.